Hello everyone, my name is Nancy, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, share and like my videos. In today's story, I'll be showing how to make a straight pant, and these pants can also be worn to the office. So let's get started. This fabric is folded into two. The length of the pants is 42 inches. Plus 2 inches sewing allowance to the hem. Since I'll be attaching a 2 inches waistband to the waist of the trouser, it means that the waistline will begin from 2 inches as shown. So this first line is the waistline for the trouser. The next line is the hip line, which is 8 inches. Next line is the crotch depth line. The crotch depth is 11 inches, but because I don't want it too tight around the crotch curve, I'll work with 11.5 inches. Since this is a female pants, I'll be creating a curvy shape at the side of the pants, which will serve as the hip curve. To achieve this curve, I'll mark 1.5 inches on the waistline. Then I'll connect this point to the hip line. The next step is to mark the new length. The new length for this client is 18 inches. On the knee line, I'll mark 1 inch to connect the point to the hip line. On the full length line, I'll mark 1.5 inches. Then I'll connect this point to the new point. The waist circumference is 28 inches divided by 2, which is 7 inches. Plus half inch to secure the dart, and that will be 7.5 inches. Plus 1.5 inches sewing allowance. The hip circumference is 36 inches divided by 4. Plus 1.5 inches sewing allowance. So on the crotch line, I'll place the thigh circumference, which is 23 inches divided by 2. Please take note that the waist and the hip circumference divided by 4, while the thigh measurement is divided by 2. Now I'll add 1 inch sewing allowance to the side. Next step is to connect these 3 points together to get the crotch curve. To get the round knee circumference, I'll place the tape on the crotch line to take the measurement with the sewing allowance included. Here I have 13 inches. So I'll subtract 2 inches from the 13 inches, and that will be 11 inches. To mark on the new line. The next step is to use a straight ruler to connect this new point to the full length of the pants. Before trimming out the front piece, I'll add half an inch sewing allowance to the top of the waistline, to which I'll be attaching the waistband to. The next step is to place the front piece on the folded fabric to cut out the back piece. So on the front piece, I'll mark 1 inch in at the center top of the crotch curve to connect this point to the edge of the waistline. Since the center back of the back panel is usually longer than the center part of the front panel, I'll mark 2 inches at the top as shown. And on the waistline for the back panel, I'll add 2 inches sewing allowance. The next step is to connect this point to the edge of the waistline. On the hip line, I'll also add 2 inches sewing allowance to the side. And on the crotch line, I'll add 2.5 inches sewing allowance to the side. Now I'll connect these 3 points together to form the crotch curve for the back piece. On the knee line, I'll mark 1.5 inches sewing allowance at the side. And on the full length line, I'll also mark 1.5 inches sewing allowance at the side. Then I'll connect the points together. The next step is to trim out the excess fabric on the side of the back piece. The next step is to mark the darts for both the front piece and the back piece. And this is done by dividing the bust span into 2. The bust span divided by 2 is 4 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and that is 5 inches. Now I'll mark 5 inches on the front piece and also 5 inches on the back piece as shown. The next step is to notch the darts. Now I'll take the pant to the sewing machine to secure the darts for both the front piece and the back piece. After securing the darts, the next step is to sew the crotch curve for both the front and the back piece. Now I'll place the right side of the front piece on the right side of the back piece. The next step is to pin the sides together. After pinning, I'll take the pant to the sewing machine to secure the sides by 1 inch. After joining the sides, I overlocked the seam allowance of the right side together. But for the left part, I overlocked the side of the seam allowance separately because I'll be attaching a zipper to this side. To be sure we are on the right track, let's check the measurements correctly. The waist circumference is 24 inches. Since the pant is folded into two, that will be 24 inches divided by 2. And here I have 14 inches, excluding the side allowance. The hip circumference is 36 inches divided by 2, and that is 18 inches. But here I have 19 inches, which is fine because I don't want it to be too tight on the hip. The next step is to secure the flap down to the full length by half an inch. Alright guys, I've secured the flap. And I also loosed the left side of the hip cuff to about 6 inches, to which I'll be attaching the zipper to. To get the waistband, I'll fold a small piece of fabric into two. Now I'll fold the waist of the pants into two equally. Then I'll notch the center of the waist. So I still held this waist equally, then I placed it on the fabric I folded below to trace out just the shape of the waistline for the front panel. The width of the waistband is 2 inches. But to cut out both the waistband and the facing for the waistband, I'll multiply that 2 inches by 2 and it will be 4 inches. So I'll mark 4 inches all through. The next step is to divide the band into two. Now I'll notch the center of the band because this will guide me in attaching the band to the waist of the pants. The next step is to place a paper stay on the wrong side of both bands. So I'll place the right side of the band on each other. Then I'll take this to my sewing machine to secure this curved side by half an inch. To attach the band to the pants, I'll place the notch side of the band on the notched side of the pants. Then I'll pin all through the waist. After pinning the band to the waist, I'll take this to the machine to attach them together by 1/2 inch. The next step is to fold the band equally to pin all through the waist. Yeah, I'll take the trousers to the sewing machine to secure the edges of the band. The next step is to attach the side zipper. After attaching the side zipper, I folded the pants into two. And I also weave the edges of the hem. The length of the pants is 42 inches. So yeah, I have about 43 inches. So I'm going to fold the hem in. So the final step is to insert the hemming gum into the folded hem. Then you should use a hot iron to melt the gum in between the fold. Alright guys, thanks for watching to the very end. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and if you are new to my channel, my name is Nancy. Please subscribe, share and like my videos, and please also put on your notification bell to be notified when I upload new tutorials. Thank you.